Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Geek and Dorks Reviews. This is a special edition. I've got the bat hat on because I needed my inner detective to come out. Let me get the bat signal here. How do we turn this on? Battery's dead? I don't know. But anyway, the signal's going. I wanted to take a look at what I could find in terms of JFK documentaries that are recent and might have some new take or information. A lot of people in the comments of Brain Scratch have recommended particular parts of the JFK conspiracy or the JFK conspiracy as a whole for being a Brain Scratch topic. There are certain topics that, quite frankly, I feel like they're almost too big for Brain Scratch to cover. I mean, it would take me several episodes, tons of research. I almost see those as a different type of Brain Scratch, like maybe a documentary, like an hour-and-a-half format, which, who knows, maybe we will get to someday. But in the meantime, I still wanted to approach those topics and give you guys some good content to check out around those. So today's is about JFK, and I watched two documentaries today about JFK, and there's a third one that I remember I watched a few years ago that I really liked that I want to tell you about. So we're going to start off with JFK, A President Betrayed, and from IMDb, this one is currently ranking a 7.5. It seems like everything I review on IMDb ranks a 7.5, so I don't know what's up with that. But that tells me it's at least worth a watch. Here is the plot summary on it from imdb.com. Narrated by Academy Award winner Morgan Freeman. If you love Morgan Freeman, plenty of him in this. JFK, A President Betrayed, uncovers new evidence that reveals how JFK embarked on secret back-channel peace efforts with Nikita Khrushchev and Fidel Castro, and was determined to get out of Vietnam despite intense opposition inside his own government. Now, I unfortunately watched the trailer for this first, and the trailer starts off, I think it starts off with a title card that's like, you know the conspiracy theories, or you've heard all the conspiracy theories, but did you know this? And I just got this feeling from the trailer that it was going to be about his death and about some type of new angle on understanding his death. And what's good and bad about this is it's not that. So I guess it's bad in terms of the trailer does not represent what the documentary is very well. But what's good about it is the documentary is a very straightforward retelling of him getting the presidency, some of the big issues that he tackled. And I gotta tell you, after watching this documentary, it makes me think back on the past several presidents we have and ask the question, what the hell are they doing? I mean, this guy was only in office for a few years, and it's like he was doing radical shifts in this world. And then you look at the recent presidents we have, and it's like, wow. Outside of that, the way this guy spoke, I mean, to see him speak in this footage, to hear his words, they are moving. It is... it's almost like hearing a great philosopher or something. Just that he seems to have this idea about how the world could have worked together and fit together in a very unique way. And I do remember in particular when Obama was initially campaigning that he echoed some of those sentiments, but nothing even close to speaking as eloquently as JFK. And I can't think of any president we've had, at least in my lifetime, that I guess Ronald Reagan would have been close, where you kind of have some of those big speeches that you remember certain parts of them ring in the back of your head. You know, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. But for recent presidents, I can't think of anything like that, where it was just an extremely well-written speech delivered in a very passionate way. And to hear that this guy at one point had an approval rating of 90%, could you even imagine that nowadays? Just with our two-party system, it's like they have completely obliterated that. And, you know, the two parties were around back then too. What has shifted? I think what has shifted is this guy really knew how to speak for the people and what we were really looking for in terms of a peaceful coexistence with other countries in this world. And unfortunately, that might have made him a target, particularly by some of his senior staff. It seems like he was being undermined all over the place But sometimes when an idea is so good and it gets out and other people understand it, that's enough to really turn the tide and to make radical change happen. And man, he just seemed like he was full of great ideas like that. So it's really a shame, because it seems to me that not only did the country change dramatically when JFK was killed, but also the type of people that would look to become president changed dramatically. And quite honestly, I don't know if we're getting the same level of quality of people that we did previously, back particularly in that JFK era. It's amazing to see what this guy did with his few short years in the presidency. So, but that being said, JFK, A President Betrayed, the title doesn't even, it kind of ties into it, but not in the way that you think. This is not a conspiracy film. This is more like something you would watch in a history class. It's very good, although I have to say Morgan Freeman, he doesn't get very excited when he does this type of narration, and it kind of lulls a little bit. There was a few points where I thought I could take a nap in the middle of this if it wasn't for the fact that the story was actually so engaging of what JFK was trying to accomplish. If you are curious about the history of the Berlin Wall, this is a great way to understand that much, much better. Of course, the Cuban Missile Crisis, this is a very good example of how to understand that better. And even a president that maybe wasn't necessarily afraid of communism and believed that that could exist in certain parts of the world without us having to go police everyone and eradicate it to death. So very, very cool documentary. I really appreciated it by the end of it, but it didn't fulfill the need that I had for a good conspiracy theory JFK thing. So that is where I went to the next video that I watched, which is called Crossfire, The Plot That Killed Kennedy. And unfortunately, this one does not have a rating in IMDb yet because it doesn't have enough votes. It says it's waiting for 5 votes. That being said, when it gets them, I'm sure it's going to be a 7.5. Let's read the plot summary from IMDb. Jim Marrs, author of the international best-selling book JFK. Yeah, this wasn't me this time. This time they got it wrong. Jim Marrs, author of the international best-selling JFK book of all time, Crossfire, The Plot That Killed Kennedy, takes you deep into the conspiracy of John F. Kennedy's untimely death with visual and factual information that rules out the lone assassination theory. I think it's the lone assassin theory. There was a lone assassination. I don't know who wrote this. Mars's work was the basis for the hugely successful Oliver Stone film JFK. Now that one was me. 50 years after the event that rocked the nation and shook the world, Marrs reveals the facts behind the most audacious cover-up of our time, how it was planned, who executed the conspiracy. I think that's overstating things a little bit. Who benefited from it, and ultimately why this extremely well-orchestrated assassination could be so cleverly concealed. This extensively researched film includes never-before-seen maps, photos, newspaper articles, government documents, and other evidence proving the Warren Commission's report was a cover-up and a smokescreen for the true conspiracy. Learn why Lee Harvey Oswald could not have been a lone gunman and that multiple shots were fired that fateful day. The evidence does not lie, and all the evidence is here. Jim Marrs takes you through the most important historical event of the 20th century, the assassination of a United States president. And for anyone that is a fan of Brain Scratch, you will appreciate this format. It is literally Jim Marrs sitting at his desk, a lot like you guys see every week when you watch Brain Scratch, right in front of his computer, and it's like he's talking right to you, just like we do on Brain Scratch. I was really comfortable with the format. I really liked that because it feels a bit informal, and you can see he's going to his screen and all of a sudden you're seeing images that he's bringing up of pieces of evidence. It just felt very, very familiar, and I'm sure any Brain Scratch fan out there will definitely dig the format. Outside of all that, it is extremely intriguing information. Jim Marrs has done a lot of good research on this. There are literally pieces of conflicting evidence. The things that grab me are you would find a document from the Warren report that says this, and then he found the original of that document that says that, and you can tell that it was modified. There's a couple of gotcha moments like that when you're watching this that are really, really well done. People talking about JFK being shot in the neck. No, he wasn't shot in the neck. It was actually 6 inches below his shoulder. There's just so much to go into in all the details here, and Jim does a really good job of breaking it down and why it's important. And what's weird about this trailer, when I watched this trailer, was he kind of came off like he knew it all, like he knew what really happened, and he was going to tell you guys about that. And you know me, when it comes to the content I put out, I like to theorize about the possibilities of what happened, but I'm never going to tell you that I know for a fact what happened in something like that. The trailer did not serve him justice, because when you actually watch the documentary, he is much... I can't say he's totally unbiased. He's definitely leaning towards thinking that he has some idea of what the truth is, but it's not like it was put out in the trailer. So once again, a badly cut trailer for a JFK documentary. But both these documentaries are really well done, and you can watch them back to back. The first one I think was like an hour, close to an hour and a half, but this one, Crossfire, was only an hour and 15 minutes, so theoretically you could watch them back to back. They kind of fit well together if you do that. It's nice to have one that kind of felt like a historical retelling, like I said, something you'd see in history class, and then you get into the conspiracy stuff, but it's really well presented and pretty well unbiased. So it was an enjoyable morning for me. That being said, I kept thinking back to this other one that I watched a few years ago, and that is called JFK, The Smoking Gun. This one's from 2013. Let's see if we have a score on this one. You want to guess what it is with me? Let's see here. 7.4. Maybe I just know how to pick them. I have no idea. Let's go to the plot summary here. 75% of the American people still refuse to believe the official story of President John F. Kennedy's death. They do not think he was killed by a lone gunman, but by a mysterious cabal that somehow conspired to have him killed. How can this be? How can a crime this famous, witnessed and investigated by so many, remain a mystery? This is what veteran Australian police detective Colin McLaren is determined to find out. JFK, The Smoking Gun follows the forensic cold case investigation McLaren conducted over 4 painstaking years, taking us back to that tragic day in Dallas at Dealey Plaza, where the shooting took place, to Parkland Hospital, where the president was pronounced dead, to the Bethesda Naval Hospital, where the autopsy was conducted, and to the conclusions of the Warren Commission that have remained controversial to this day. Driven by a seasoned police detective who, thanks to modern technology, finally had access to all of the facts and to witness testimony, the documentary uses logic, reason, and time-tested investigative techniques to solve a crime that is every bit as shocking and incredible today as it was when it first happened 50 years ago. Colin McLaren believes he has found, quote, the smoking gun that killed JFK. Once you've seen this film, he's confident you will believe it too. And I do remember feeling like this was a very well done investigation. It brought up a bunch of people that quite honestly have not been part of the official story or even what I consider the official conspiracy story before. And the outcome, which I'm not going to blow for you guys, if you're a fan of this JFK stuff at all, I highly recommend you check this out for yourself. But the outcome that he comes to, I have never heard before in the traditional conspiracy theory talk. Now, maybe I missed it. Maybe some of you are going to, flare me in the comments. Hey, John, that idea has been all over the place. I can tell you, I look into this stuff pretty regularly. I'm not like a super big JFK fan, but I've seen kind of the major pieces, and I have not heard of this theory before this documentary. So know that for some of you out there, this might be an idea that is completely new to you, and it seems extremely feasible with the evidence that this guy uncovers. So, that's another good one. If I remember right, I watched that one on Netflix. However, now all 3 of these, as of today, are available on Hulu here in the U.S. And I know some people have asked, and I believe you can watch things for free on Hulu. I don't think you have to be a subscriber. So check it out. You might be able to see some of these films for free on Hulu without being an official Hulu subscriber. That being said, I love being on Hulu. I watch, kind of current TV shows on there, and in particular, I love the ad-free Hulu. I love ad-free Hulu, so just know that if you are looking for a streaming web service, Hulu and Netflix are definitely my two top picks. By the way, this is not sponsored content. They're not paying me to say any of this. I'm just letting you guys know that's how I get to check out my content, and I love watching it without advertising. So I just want to chat that up whenever I can. So if you've got a JFK itch, I hope that 1, 2, or all 3 of these documentaries might help you scratch that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Geek and Dorks review, and I'll catch you on the next show on the Geek and Dorks channel. Take care.